No one could have predicted that a boy from Gary, Indiana, born in 1958, would grow into the king of pop, a man whose music would change the world forever. From the outside, Michael Jackson was a miracle, a child prodigy, dazzling audiences with moves no one had ever seen, a voice that seemed to defy the limits of humanity. But behind the glittering stages, the roaring applause, and the record-breaking albums, there was a boy growing up in the shadow of impossible expectations, a young man carrying burdens the world could never imagine. By 1964, the Jackson 5 were stars, propelled by Motown and hits like I Want You Back, yet Michael remained a mystery, his true self hidden behind sequins and spotlight. Over the decades, countless stories have been told, and countless rumors whispered, but one voice has always been quietly watching from the sidelines. Now, at 81, Diana Ross has finally spoken about Michael Jackson in a way she never has before. The truth she is about to reveal is not what we would expect. Michael Joseph Jackson entered the world on a humid day in Gary, Indiana, in 1958, the eighth of 10 children in a family whose musical heartbeat would one day echo across the globe. From the very beginning, Michael was different. Even as a young boy, there was a certain gravity in his presence, a quiet intensity that set him apart from his siblings. His movements were instinctively rhythmic, his small hands tapping out beats on furniture, on walls, on anything that could carry a sound. His voice, even before formal training, had a clarity and control that made listeners pause, as if the world had briefly stopped to listen. Music was not merely a pastime for Michael, it was the language through which he interpreted life. His family, particularly his father Joseph, recognized early that this boy possessed something extraordinary. They watched him closely, aware that his talent was unlike anything they had seen before, a flame that needed careful nurturing yet could not be contained. By 1964, Michael joined the Jackson 5, a group formed with his older brothers, who themselves possessed talent but lacked the magnetic force that Michael brought. He was just 6 years old, yet on stage he appeared older, wiser, and more assured than his years would suggest. Audiences could feel it immediately. The way he commanded attention without a single word, the way his eyes carried both innocence and determination. The Jackson 5's days were filled with endless rehearsals, perfecting every note, every gesture, every step in synchrony with the other members. It was grueling work, but it was also the crucible in which Michael's extraordinary abilities were refined. Their efforts caught the attention of Motown Records, a label that had already transformed countless African-American artists into household names. Motown saw something more than raw talent. They saw a star whose shine could not be dimmed, whose charisma demanded the world's attention. In 1969, the Jackson 5 released I Want You Back, a song that would become the first of many milestones in Michael's career. His youthful yet commanding voice cut through the music, carrying emotion with precision and ease. There was a fluidity to his performance, a seamless merging of sound and motion that mesmerized audiences. Watching him dance was to witness something almost otherworldly. Every step, every spin, every tilt of his head was intentional, perfect, and electrifying. On stage, he communicated more than lyrics could convey: joy, longing, hope, and even the faintest shadow of the vulnerability that lay beneath the surface. Yet behind the applause and the dazzling performances, Michael's life was far from ordinary. The pressures he faced as a child performer were immense. He was expected to execute perfection, night after night, to meet the exacting standards of a world that celebrated him, yet scrutinized him relentlessly. Childhood in the traditional sense became a luxury he could rarely afford. Instead of playgrounds and schoolyard games, his world was filled with tours, television appearances, and rehearsals. The extraordinary talent that brought him acclaim came with a cost, a delicate balance between public adoration and private isolation, a tension that would define much of his life. By the end of the 1960s, the Jackson 5 had become a national sensation. They could fill arenas and charm television audiences with a single performance, but it was Michael who drew the eyes and hearts of millions. His voice, his energy, and his stage presence set him apart, establishing him as more than a child star. He was a prodigy, a force of nature whose potential seemed limitless. Each performance hinted at the remarkable journey ahead, yet the boy behind the fame remained enigmatic, his inner world largely hidden from public view. This was the beginning of a story that would take him from the streets of Gary to the world stage, a journey that would transform a talented child into a legend whose influence and artistry would endure for generations. As Michael Jackson's fame with the Jackson 5 reached unprecedented heights, he began to feel the pull of a path that was entirely his own. By 1979, he stepped into the spotlight as a solo artist with the release of Off the Wall, an album that announced the arrival of a musician who would forever change the landscape of popular music. Each track showcased not only his extraordinary vocal range but also an emotional maturity that seemed impossible for someone so young. Michael could express joy, longing, and melancholy in a single note, communicating feelings that resonated deeply with listeners around the world. Off the Wall was more than a commercial success. It was a declaration of artistry and independence, the first clear sign that Michael Jackson was destined for something extraordinary beyond the success of the Jackson 5. 2 years later, in 1982, Michael released Thriller, an album that would not only break records but redefine music entirely. Every song was meticulously crafted, blending rhythm, melody, and narrative in ways that had never been seen before. The album's impact extended far beyond audio recordings. The music video for Thriller became a cultural phenomenon, a short film that combined storytelling, choreography, and cinematic production in groundbreaking ways. Songs like Billie Jean and Beat It captivated audiences worldwide, while his debut of the moonwalk during live performances became instantly iconic, a movement that symbolized the perfect union of technical precision and artistic expression. Fans were drawn not only to the music but to the spectacle, the way Michael could command attention with every gesture, every glance, every note. Amid these achievements, Michael used his platform to influence the world beyond music. In 1985, he co-wrote and performed on We Are the World, a charity single that brought together the era's most prominent voices to combat famine in Africa. The song became a global milestone, demonstrating that Michael's reach extended far beyond entertainment. His contributions to humanitarian causes reflected a desire to make a positive impact, an effort that complemented the joy and inspiration he offered through his music. The 1980s saw Michael at the height of his creative powers. Albums, tours, and performances were executed with a meticulous attention to detail that reflected a relentless dedication to excellence. His stage presence, an intricate combination of music, movement, and emotion, drew audiences into a world that felt both intimate and larger than life. Yet behind the applause and the spectacle, Michael navigated the immense pressures that came with global fame. Every performance was scrutinized, every public appearance measured, and every creative decision amplified by the weight of expectation. Through it all, he remained committed to innovation, pushing the boundaries of what music and performance could achieve. By the end of the decade, Michael Jackson was more than a pop star. He had become a cultural icon, a figure whose influence shaped music, dance, and style worldwide. His achievements inspired generations of artists and fans, while his dedication to craft and artistry set an enduring standard in the entertainment world. Even amid the relentless demands of fame, Michael's talent, vision, and humanity shone through, leaving a lasting imprint on the world. The journey from a child star in Gary, Indiana, to the man whose music would define a generation was nearly complete, yet the story of his life, his artistry, and the human being behind the legend was only just beginning to unfold. Amid the dazzling lights of global fame and the relentless demands of performance, one presence remained constant in Michael Jackson's life: Diana Ross. Long before the world knew the man who would redefine music, there was a boy from Gary, Indiana, whose admiration for Diana Ross ran deep. She represented everything he aspired to become: elegance, charisma, and the ability to connect with audiences in ways that transcended the music itself. Even as a child performing with the Jackson 5, Michael looked to her as a guide, someone whose career offered a roadmap of possibility and inspiration. Their connection was never a product of publicity or circumstance. It was forged through shared artistry, mutual respect, and a profound understanding of the demands of the entertainment world. Diana Ross played a pivotal role in Michael's early development, introducing him to opportunities that extended beyond the boundaries of Motown and the Jackson 5. She offered guidance in navigating a world that could be unforgiving to young talent, teaching lessons about poise, presence, and the discipline required to maintain a career in the public eye. Michael often spoke of her mentorship, crediting her with helping him shape the stage persona that would become iconic worldwide. Through her example, he learned the subtle nuances of performance, the importance of connecting with audiences on a human level, and the value of maintaining dignity even under intense scrutiny. Their friendship endured through decades of fame, a bond that provided continuity in a life defined by change. Diana Ross witnessed not only Michael's extraordinary talent, but also the meticulous preparation and perfectionism that accompanied it. She saw the intensity with which he approached each rehearsal, each recording, and each performance, as well as the vulnerability that few outside his inner circle were allowed to see. Their connection was personal, marked by trust, respect, and shared understanding. Even as Michael became a global icon, the friendship offered him a sense of stability, a reminder that behind the sequins and choreography, he was still a human being with emotions, hopes, and insecurities. In interviews conducted decades later, Diana Ross spoke of Michael's humanity, the moments that revealed the boy behind the fame. She described his quiet reflections, his laughter, and the deep emotional intelligence that guided both his artistry and personal interactions. Her words painted a portrait of a man who, despite unprecedented success, relied on the guidance and companionship of those who knew him best. In sharing her memories, she offered fans an intimate glimpse into a relationship that had shaped his life in profound ways, highlighting a side of Michael that went beyond headlines, albums, and world tours. At 81, Diana Ross finally shared the truth of her connection with Michael Jackson, revealing not only mentorship but also a profound friendship that endured the pressures of fame and time. Her reflections showed that their bond was both professional and deeply personal, built on shared experiences and a mutual understanding of the demands of life in the spotlight. Through her perspective, the world gains insight into the human side of Michael Jackson, the boy who carried the music of Gary, Indiana in his heart, and the man whose talent and dedication transformed him into a legend. Their friendship, as revealed by Diana Ross, reminds us that even the most celebrated figures rely on those who walk beside them, offering guidance, understanding, and care. It is a testament to the quiet forces that shape greatness, the relationships that nurture talent, and the connections that reveal the humanity behind the legend. Through her words, Michael Jackson is seen not only as a global icon but as a person whose life was enriched by meaningful friendships that sustained him through triumph and challenge alike. Michael Jackson's life continued to unfold on a global stage, a trajectory that few could ever have imagined when he first sang with the Jackson 5 in Gary, Indiana. Through the 1990s and early 2000s, he remained a figure of extraordinary talent, producing music that continued to captivate audiences while pushing the boundaries of artistic expression. Albums such as Dangerous, released in 1991, and History, released in 1995, demonstrated his creative evolution, blending complex rhythms, innovative production, and the emotional depth that had always defined his work. Every song, every note, and every performance was executed with meticulous care, reflecting a lifelong commitment to excellence. His live performances during this era were monumental, attracting audiences from across the globe. Michael's Super Bowl halftime performance in 1993 remains one of the most iconic in history, a moment when music, dance, and storytelling converged into a single unforgettable event. Fans witnessed a performer whose precision, energy, and artistry transcended conventional entertainment. Every gesture was deliberate, every movement purposeful, creating an experience that was intimate and exhilarating all at once. Beyond the spectacle, Michael continued to channel his influence into humanitarian efforts. He supported children's charities, global humanitarian initiatives, and relief programs, demonstrating a steadfast commitment to using his platform to help others. Despite these accomplishments, Michael's life was accompanied by intense public scrutiny. Every choice, public appearance, and creative decision was amplified by the media and observed by millions. Yet even under such pressure, he maintained his dedication to his craft, recording new music, refining performances, and planning ambitious projects that expanded the possibilities of music and stage production. Michael remained focused on innovation, perfection, and the emotional resonance of his art, qualities that had defined his career since his earliest days on stage. Then, in 2009, the world was struck by a profound loss. Michael Jackson passed away suddenly at the age of 50. The news reverberated globally, prompting mourning and reflection from millions of fans and fellow artists alike. Crowds gathered outside his homes and studios, sharing memories and paying tribute to a man whose music had touched countless lives. Tributes poured in from around the world, highlighting the reach and depth of his influence. His death marked the end of an era, yet it also solidified the enduring legacy of a performer whose art, vision, and dedication had changed the cultural landscape forever. In the years following his passing, Michael Jackson's influence has remained profound. His music continues to inspire new generations, his performances are studied and celebrated, and his commitment to artistry remains a benchmark for musicians, dancers, and performers worldwide. Diana Ross's reflections on their relationship offer an intimate glimpse into the man behind the public persona, reminding the world that beyond the global icon was a person who cherished friendship, guidance, and connection. These insights reveal a figure whose humanity was as integral to his life as his talent, whose personal relationships enriched the boy who had grown into a legend. Michael Jackson's story, from his beginnings in Gary, Indiana, to his rise as the king of pop, is a testament to talent, resilience, and dedication. His passing did not diminish his influence. It reinforced the lasting significance of his music, his performances, and the emotional bonds he formed with those who knew him best. Through Diana Ross's perspective, the world sees a side of Michael that is intimate, human, and enduring, a reminder that the legacy of a legend is measured not only in accolades and records, but also in the hearts and lives touched along the way. Michael Jackson's life was a tapestry of extraordinary talent, relentless dedication, and profound humanity. From the streets of Gary, Indiana, to stages across the world, he transformed music, dance, and performance into a legacy that continues to inspire generations. Yet behind the sequins, choreography, and record-breaking achievements was a man who, like all of us, sought guidance, understanding, and connection. Diana Ross, whose mentorship and friendship shaped his journey, revealed the depth of their bond, offering the world a glimpse into the boy who grew up too quickly, and the man whose music touched millions. Even as the world celebrated his achievements, it is the intimate moments, the quiet conversations, shared advice, and enduring friendships that remind us of his humanity. Michael's artistry lives on, his songs still stirring emotion, his performances studied and revered, and his influence felt in every corner of popular culture. Through Diana Ross's reflections and the millions of lives he touched, we see that legends are measured not only by fame and accolades, but by the hearts they leave behind, the connections they nurture, and the humanity they reveal through their art. For more emotional stories, check out this video.